The Gulf Coast and Florida put on alert. Hi, everybody. I'm Chief Meteorologist Chris Justice, keeping you up to date on all things severe weather. And in this case, we've got some growing moisture and concerns off the southeast coast. And what it may do is it crosses over into the Gulf. As we look at the satellite imagery tonight, it has begun to explode with convection here across the southeast as a backdoor front moves through. And this area is going to lead to higher impacts as we go throughout the day tomorrow. And especially for Florida, severe and flood concerns are going to begin to crop up. If you're new to this channel and appreciate a no-nonsense approach to weather, please like this video, subscribe to this channel, and turn on notifications. Anything that turns severe or any kind of outlook that comes our way, I'm going to be the first to let you know, and I'll keep you posted along the way. So right now, we have a lot of moisture across the southeast that's beginning to push toward the south. And what's new now is that the National Hurricane Center is highlighting this area that's sitting on an old boundary here across the southeast and a very warm part of the Atlantic, now highlighting it for the potential that as it moves into the Gulf, that it would have a chance to become tropical. Now, it's still a low chance, but notice how that bubble is a little farther offshore than it was last week. And that's because the further out to sea it is, it actually has a better chance at actually developing. It's not interacting with land and getting dry air infiltrating it. And there is the concern here that the European model has been a little bullish with that here lately. So as we move forward here, we're going to be watching this plume of tropical moisture that's sitting across the southeast right now. Look how it spreads across Florida tomorrow. It is going to be a rainy, stormy day all across Florida. You'll still find some sunshine at times, but there will be the rain and the storms that do form. It is extra infused with just torrential rain. So flooding will be a concern, and there is the chance as this tropical moisture tries to form into a low pressure, do we get a severe thunderstorm or two? Now, all that Gulf moisture is going to move toward Louisiana yet again, coastal Mississippi, Alabama, into Louisiana, and then Texas late week. Does it form into a tropical system? That's what we have to still iron out. Let's look at that same model. Look for the Carolinas. Dare I say cooler? I mean, as we move forward, this is really going to send in this backdoor front right here on Wednesday, lower humidity levels. It really pushes it toward Georgia and Florida. Now, it's going to be a drier, sunny, still a hot day, but without the humidity that's been plaguing so many people. Now, with that also comes the absence of all storm fuel. Notice how it's plentiful tonight, but going into tomorrow, notice how the Carolinas get a cone of protection here. This is a backdoor front coming in from the northeast, called backdoor front because it comes in from the northeast and moves to the southwest, kind of a backwards than normal setup here. But this does lead to some lower humidity, better weather. It builds back Thursday to marginal levels of fuel, so you start to get some storms to build back in Thursday and a Friday across the Carolinas and Georgia, but then especially this weekend, all that mugginess surging to the north. Well, how about what's happening across parts of Florida? Let's look at that because as we look at storm chances, I'm going to show you kind of a broad view first. I'll zoom down to the south a little bit. But notice how as we go through tonight, there's a chance for some additional downpours in upstate South Carolina, western North Carolina, but most of the rain is being pushed toward the south into Georgia and Florida. Through the day tomorrow, this would be tomorrow this time. This would be Wednesday. As we go into the evening hours, we'll start to see some of the storm activity now moving into the Gulf. Here we are now Thursday morning. You got a lot of convection. Is it organizing? Well, high resolution model says maybe. Let's look at this down here toward the Gulf. Here it is over Florida. Notice how it's a lot of moisture now hanging out over the Gulf. So late Wednesday into Thursday, we're going to be looking out for possible organization off the coast. And again, National Hurricane Center giving it a low chance, but it's something to watch, especially Thursday into Friday, as this moisture starts to bubble up and starts to head toward the south. How much of that moves into the Gulf and begins to get a little bit more organized? As you see above my head here, high temperatures over the next few days are going to be, dare I say, comfortable. I mean, normal highs are around 90, so yeah, you'll get some muggy, warm days, but this mugginess is all going to be centered right over Florida. And for you folks watching right now in Florida, it's going to be a stormy couple of days right here. And then we need to turn our attention to some waves. Tropical wave moving into the Lesser Antilles tomorrow, same time as Florida. Just looking at some additional rain, this invest is all but falling apart. It is still going to bring in some heavy rain for the Caribbean islands, but that's really about all the organization will get out of it. What about moving forward? Let's run this model through. European still saying some low pressure right in here. This would be Wednesday into Thursday. Lower pressure here across the Gulf. Does it organize? Maybe. But then high pressure builds back in and dries us out and keeps us very, very hot across the southeast. Additional waves, a few to watch. European not buying much of any big action out of those waves. How about the ensembles? Not sniffing out too much out of those waves either. Here's the GFS. Okay, it's got a low pressure in the Gulf. 10, 12, just nothing really organized. Same thing over the Atlantic, looking out for some waves. Do we see anything popping up? Advance this all the way out. No, nothing too substantial. Icon, the German model, has done very well at sniffing out early threats this year. Let's advance that one out. Looking at that Gulf moisture streaming in. There it is. This is Thursday morning, 5 a.m. Thursday, 6 a.m. Okay. Get a little spin there, but almost just like last week, kind of hugs the coast, rides right in there. But a high pressure does set up here, and I want to show you that because this could lead to a stream of moisture. Some of this Caribbean moisture is trying to stream up toward Texas. Hey, I know we're looking out for any kind of flooding in Texas right now, and does look like, at least for South Texas, that high pressure is going to stream in and send a lot of that moisture that's trying to build up here in the Atlantic and into the Caribbean toward the south right here. Additional waves here toward the end of this frame. Icon sniffing out on them. All right, let's rewind this a little bit. Now that you've paid attention to the Gulf, pay attention to the Atlantic. Almost too much to look at if you don't look at one thing at a time. Look at that wave. That's a pretty beefy wave this weekend going into next week. It's moving toward the Lesser Antilles. Does this form into something? Icon says maybe. European, not really buying it. Let's look at the European ensemble runs. An average of all 51 varieties. As you follow me for any length and period of time, you're going to know this is my preferred way to forecast. I like averaging together the models versus looking at just one model and what it's showing may or may not happen. But it does showcase here as we move forward the chance for some development across the Gulf. I mean, it's sitting up there 50, 60%. I mean, like last week, it's a little bullish, but the European ensembles here are showing, if you look at your key, 50 to 60% chance of some development off the coast of Louisiana. So does that give us another name? Then you start looking at these waves out here. This one that's been over the Lesser Antilles, I mean, all but a goner. I mean, it's just not going to do much. Got a little low rider right here into the extreme southern part of the Caribbean. That stuff goes towards Central America. I got some pretty big flooding here. Then you got a couple other waves that are more beefy back toward the Cape Verde Islands. You almost got like a 60, 70% chance in here. So that gets us to the end of the run. You see right there, possibly a name. Then you certainly got some chances deep into the Caribbean and then deeper out here into the Atlantic. This would be into the first few days of August. So no surprise there that would give us some crop ups of some highlighted areas at least. How about temperatures and pattern in the southeast? Now, as we move forward here, it does look like we're going to see things get a little bit above average. Now, this is the hottest part of the year. So average is hot. I mean, you're supposed to be hot this time of the year, but we're talking above normal temperatures. That means those temperatures are going to soar mid-upper 90s yet again. This will go through the first few days of August. Then I extend that out just a little bit. This goes through the 15th of August, so the weeks 3 through 4 time frame. Back to school for a lot of people. Yikes. Looking at above normal temperatures as football games. Can you believe it? Football season's almost here. High school beginning and then college toward Labor Day. We're going to start to see above normal precipitation locking down in those areas. So, folks, that's kind of the latest that's happening right now. We got to stay dialed in on what's happening in the Gulf. Could we get a sneaky system that could cause flooding? I think that the ceiling on this is probably tropical storm. I don't see anything in the models that are telling me this thing's organizing into really anything substantial, but I think the capacity there is for a possible hurricane. And folks, keeping it locked right here is the way to stay safe during hurricane season, severe weather. Like this video, comment, let me know where you're watching from. I do read every single one of the comments. I do enjoy watching and seeing where everybody in the world is from. And speaking of, so many of you are watching right now from, of course, the Carolinas, where I broadcast from on television. But so many of you are watching right now in Georgia, in Florida, up the Panhandle, Panama City area, Tampa, Daytona, Jacksonville, Cedar Key. A lot of my friends here watching right now. And was noticing the vast majority of people watching on one of my latest videos out of Jamaica. So welcome, Jamaica, as we're watching and tracking all things tropical going into this other part of the season. My goal, as always, is to inform you and prepare you for what's coming. My goal is to arm you with that information, not to hype anything, but to give you that information as I see it come through so that you can make decisions for you and your family. Folks, I will keep you posted. Stay tuned for another update as we see more models and data come in.